Hey everybody! So, big exciting news. Shadow Shaper was nominated for the Locus Award in Young Adult Fiction. Such an honor. I'm so excited about it. And there's something weird about that category. It was all male authors. All 5 nominees are males. It struck everybody as a little strange. The Locus nominees are membership voted, and as far as we know, there's no vast, weird, whack puppies type conspiracy going on. It's just that's who people voted for. But it really is time to pause and take a moment to reflect on just how many amazing young adult fantasy and science fiction women writers there are out there. They have truly defined and redefined the genre over and over. In my own personal writing journey, it's almost always been women writers who have led the way. So in this video, we're going to take a moment and talk about a few of them. So I'm going to talk about some of the books that I first read when I was starting out as a writer that really guided my path. I'm going to talk about some of the great books that came out last year by women writers that are in the YA SFF category, including my own personal all-time favorite of last year. And finally, I'm going to talk about some of the mega game-changing books that have come out that have really made the industry and the genre what it is. Without further ado, here are some recommendations for women, young adult, science fiction, and fantasy writers. Midnight Robber by Nalo Hopkinson might be my favorite all-time YA at all, in any category. Very possibly. I love this book. I read it when I was just starting out as a writer, and it changed my whole writing ideas and scheme up. It's deep. It's about a whole lot of different things. It's about solidarity and revolution and power and sexual assault and survival and a lot of other stuff. It's an important book. It's a beautiful book. It's a fun book. It's fantastical. Read this book. Nalo Hopkinson was one of my favorite writers, period. Check her out. Octavia Butler, not often thought of as a YA author, but Parable of the Sower is definitely YA. And this is actually the first Octavia book that I ever read. My 7th grade teacher gave it to me. It's called Bloodchild. It's a collection of her short stories. And this book changed my life. Parable of the Sower changed my life. They're both really important texts that say a lot about power and womanhood and apocalypse and all these other exciting ideas. They're great books. Octavia Butler has led the way in so many different ways, and she is kind of the mother of us all, whether we know it or not. Read Octavia Butler's work, period. Nnedi Okorafor. This is called Zara the Windseeker. She has several great books for young adults. She's an amazing writer. This is a really fun adventure story. I also read this when I was first starting out as a writer, and it definitely let me know that all the things that I was dreaming about are possible to write about and more. Also by Nnedi, The Book of Phoenix, which is the prequel to her World Fantasy Award winning book, Who Fears Death, and came out in 2015. Sarah McCarry is one of my favorite writers. Also, she has a way of writing prose that will change your whole shit up. She has sentences that start one place, end somewhere completely different, and take you on a whole journey along the way. There's a fluidity and a gravity to it all. And that's why I teach her book when I teach writing. It's also, this is All Our Pretty Songs. It's a book 1 of a trilogy. She brings in mythology. She talks about gender and race in important and deep ways. And overall, it's just a beautiful story about love. Check her work out. Another great YA science fiction book is Orleans by Cherie L. Smith. It's post-Katrina, another Katrina, future apocalypse world set in New Orleans with all kinds of disaster, really deep and intelligent characters, and lots to say about the world. Check this book out. Liar by Justine Labalestier. An amazing book that I read very early on in my career. One of the first urban fantasies that I fell in love with. Subtle, gritty, real on all different levels. Also a book that we will always hold up and cherish because this was an example early on of an author standing up to publishers against whitewashing on the cover and winning. Very important book. Very great author. I'm going to run down a list of some of the really important works by women authors that came out in 2015 in the young adult fantasy and science fiction genre. This is by no means an exhaustive list. I haven't read all of these books, but they've all been highly recommended by people I trust, and many of them have been shortlisted for several different awards and gotten lots of critical acclaim. Uprooted by Naomi Novik. The Walls Around Us by Nova Suma. Updraft by Fran Watt. Nimona by Noelle Stevenson, which was also a finalist for the National Book Award. Archivist Wasp by Nicole Corner-Stace. Quarter Fives by Kate Elliott. Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. Magonia by Maria Devana Headley. Bone Gap, another National Book Award finalist by Laura Ruby. The Great Libre with Lair of Dreams, the sequel in the Diviners series. Awesome book. And by my fellow Kirkus Award finalist Martha Brockenbrough, The Game of Love and Death, a beautiful literary, historical, fantastical novel about an interracial relationship that is beautifully written. And my favorite fantasy YA of 2015. Ooh, I love this book. I know I talk about it all the time on Twitter because it's such a damn good book. But Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Fantasy, heist, action adventure, deep stuff about the world, stuff about gender, race, and colonialism, all mixed in, a beautiful map in it. God, I don't even know what to tell you except that I miss reading the book. It's that good. It's also just a beautiful looking book. This book is amazing. I will stand for it till the day I die. And coming up next year, let me do a special shout out to Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova, which is a really cool fantasy starting in Brooklyn but going into a whole other world. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland, kind of like Dante's Inferno. It's also got a really cool map. It's very steeped in Latino culture and magic and very true to the world as much as it is fantastical. Keep your eyes open for this beautiful book. Women have redefined and redefined again the genre of young adult science fiction and fantasy. They have made the genre what it is, and they have blown it up in popularity again and again and again. Starting with the series that redefined young adult fiction in its entirety and made it what it is today, the Harry Potter series. J.K. Rowling, who has outsold all of your favorite boyfriend fantasy writers ever by a lot. She made this genre what it is, and she's also one of the reasons I write, and these books have changed the world. Even if you are not into Mormon vampires like in Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, or post-apocalyptic death-a-thon matches, sport battle royale type stuff like in The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, these books also have revolutionized the entire genre and the market of young adult science fiction and fantasy. And they have sold millions and millions of copies worldwide. And they paved the way for us to be here today and to make money doing what we do. So, again, I am super honored that Shadow Shaper is nominated for the Locus Award. I love that Shadow Shaper is getting out into the world and getting accolades. It's breathtaking to me. But with that, I want to honor the women writers who paved the way for us to be here today, and I want us to do a better job honoring the women writers who are working right now in the industry, telling amazing stories of today and tomorrow. See you next video.
Do you want some makeup?
Do you have cover? Whatever it's called? Face... Prestige? What is it called? Primer? Whatever. So, you know what I'm talking about.
You like concealer?
Yeah.
Prestige. What the fuck?
Like this and like that, and like this and like that. Are you recording?
Yeah, but it's a test shot.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hey. I gotta get my energy back. What's up? The books that had come...
The fuck?
Of the... Okay.